Neurotransmitters and neuromodulators. Neurotransmitters are involved in rapid communication between neurons, while neuromodulators are involved with more long lasting events. Neuromodulators softly modulate, depress, or enhance actions of synapse. Neuromodulator acts at either presynaptic or postsynaptic sites. A substance can act as a neurotransmitter at one synapse, one type of receptors, and as a neuromodulator at another. So, glutamate. It is the main excitatory neurotransmitter in the brain and spinal cord. 75% of excitatory transmission in the central nervous system is done by the glutamate. Glutamate receptors are two types. One is inotropic receptors, which includes AMPA and NMDA receptors. These are essentially present in all the neurons of central nervous system. NMDA receptors are in high concentration in hippocampus. This is mainly concerned with memory and learning, and blockage of these receptors prevents long-term potentiation. So this is the picture showing the glutamate receptor NMDA receptors. Glycine is required for this receptor activation. Metabotropic glutamate receptors, this either increase in IP3 and diacylglycerol, inositol triphosphate and diacylglycerol level, or a decrease in cyclic AMP levels, present either presynaptic or postsynaptic sites. Presynaptic metabotropic glutamate receptors, autoreceptors on hippocampal neurons, limits release of glutamate. These metabotropic glutamic receptors may be involved in production of synaptic plasticity, mainly in hippocampus and cerebellum. Dysregulation of brain level of metabotropic glutamate receptor type 5 has been linked to neurological disorders like schizophrenia, major depressive disorders, and autism. GABA, gamma aminobutyric acid. This is the main inhibitory neurotransmitter in brain. It mediates both presynaptic and postsynaptic inhibition formed by decarboxylation of glutamate by glutamate decarboxylase enzymes in nerve endings. GABA receptor are type 3, GABA A, GABA B, which is widely distributed, and GABA C, it is exclusively present in the retina. Now, the mechanism of action of GABA on GABA different receptor types. GABA on GABA A and GABA C receptors, which are inotropic receptor, will lead to the chloride ion influx, and GABA B receptors is G protein coupled receptors. So when the GABA acts on GABA receptors, GABA B receptors, it will either opens the potassium channel and leads to the potassium efflux, or it can lead to the closure of calcium channels and thereby leading to the no entry of the calcium. So in both cases, inotropic and metabotropic receptors, there is a generation of inhibitory postsynaptic synaptic potential on the postsynaptic neuron, and thereby leads to the inhibition of the postsynaptic neuron. GABA A agonists like benzodiazepines, for example diazepam, it is used in the treatment of anxiety as well as it is used in as a sedatives, while barbiturate like phenobarbital, it is used as anticonvulsants and muscle relaxants. Barbiturate is also suppress AMPA receptor mediated excitation. So overall, GABA is an inhibitory neurotransmitter. Glycine. Glycine has both excitatory and inhibitory effects in central nervous system. In NMDA receptor, it makes more sensitive to actions of glutamate. Here it is acting as excitatory neurotransmitter, while in brain and spinal cord, glycine mediate direct inhibition by the increase of chloride ion conduction. Neurotoxin strychnine, which is the antagonist of glycine receptor in spinal cord, it is used to kill the rodents by convulsion and muscular hyperactivity resulting respiratory failure. Acetylcholine, it is a major neurotransmitter in peripheral nervous system, in neuromuscular junction, and in the central nervous system, that is the brain. It is found in basal forebrain complex, which includes septal nuclei and nucleus basalis, which projects to the hippocampus and then neocortex, while it is also found in pontomesencephalic complex, which projects to dorsal thalamus and forebrain. So in both cases, acetylcholine is involved in regulation of sleep, wake state, learning, and memory. Acetylcholine receptors are two types: nicotinic receptors and then muscarinic receptors. Nicotinic cholinergic receptors are inotropic, while muscarinic cholinergic receptors are metabotropic. It has subtype nicotinic NM, which is present in skeletal muscles, and another is NN in central nervous system and autonomic ganglia. In this, there is a high permeability to calcium ions. Many of the NN receptors are located presynaptically on glutamate secreting axon terminals. In this, it facilitates the glutamate release. Muscarinic receptor have 5 subtypes: M1, M4, and M5 are located in central nervous system. M2 are in heart, and M3 are on glands and smooth muscles. Alzheimer's disease, which is the age-related disease, declining intellectual functions. Cholinergic neurons are degenerate in Alzheimer's disease in the brain. Interestingly, synthetic chemical acting like nerve gas in a non-toxic manner are currently used to help slow progression of Alzheimer's disease. Drugs actually do not restore lost cholinergic cells but helps increase concentration of acetylcholine in remaining cells by inhibiting activity of acetylcholine esterase enzyme. Catecholamine. Cell bodies of catecholamine releasing neurons lie in brain and hypothalamus. Dopamine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine all contains a catechol ring and amine group, thus known as catecholamines. These neurotransmitters have essential function in state of consciousness, mood, motivation, directed attention, movement, blood pressure regulation, and hormone release. Local ceruleus, this is the monoaminergic reticular activating system nuclei located in the pons. This projected to the parietal cortex and other part of the central nervous system and implicated in selective attention, while thalamus is also involved in selective attention. Attention deficit hyperactive disorder, ADHD, it typically begins early in childhood and is the most common neurobehavioral problem, characterized by difficulty in maintaining selective attention or impulsiveness and hyperactivity. ADHD tends to run in families. Functional imaging studies of brain of ADHD children have indicated dysfunction of catecholamine signaling brain regions, especially at basal nuclei and prefrontal cortex. Ritalin, which increases the synaptic concentration of norepinephrine and dopamine, is used to treat ADHD. Dopamine. Dopaminergic neurons are found in midbrain, nigrostriatal system. It projects from substantia nigra to striatum in the basal ganglia, which is responsible for the motor control, while mesocortical system projects from ventral tegmental area to nucleus accumbens and limbic subcortical areas. So these mesocortical dopaminergic system is mainly responsible for reward, behavior and addiction, as well as in disorder like schizophrenia. Dopamine receptor are type 5. All are G protein coupled receptor, metabotropic receptors. D1 like, in which there's a D1 and D5. In both cases there's an increase in cyclic AMP, while D2 like, which includes D2, D3 and D4. In all these three there's a reduction in the cyclic AMP levels. Overstimulation of D2 receptors may contribute to pathophysiology of schizophrenia. D4 receptors have a great affinity for atypical antipsychotic drug, for example clozapine. It is used primarily to treat schizophrenia. Serotonin, the final neurotransmitter that we are going to discuss, 5-hydroxytryptamine. It is highest concentration in blood platelets for approximately 8%, as and in GIT, which is maximum, that is 90%, while only 1 to 2% is present in the central nervous system. In the GIT, it is in the interchromaffin cells and menintic plexus. Within the brainstem, in the midline raphe nuclei, this project to the white portion of central nervous system, in the hypothalamus, in the limbic cortex, and in the neocortex, as well as in the cerebellum, and finally to the spinal cord. Serotonin receptors are 5 classes, all except serotonin receptor type 3 are G protein coupled receptors. It affects adenyl cyclase or phospholipase C. Type 2A receptors mediate platelet aggregation and smooth muscle contraction. Serotonin type 3 receptors are present in gastrointestinal tract and area postrema, which is mainly concerned with the vomiting. Type 4 receptors are also present in gastrointestinal tract. It is responsible for the secretion and peristalsis. Type 6 and type 7 receptors are distributed throughout the limbic system. Functions of serotonin: it has an excitatory effect on control of muscles and inhibitory effect on sensation. Serotonergic neurons activity is lowest during the sleep and highest during wakefulness. Also, serotonin functions in regulation of food intake, reproductive behavior and emotional states such as mood and anxiety. SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, as an antidepressants. SSRI, for example paroxetine or Paxil, inactivates presynaptic membrane serotonin transporter, so that there is an increase in the serotonin at the synaptic cleft. Serotonin receptor type 6 have high affinity for antidepressant drugs. Lysergic acid diethylamide LSD. This stimulates serotonin receptor type 2A in the brain, which produces intense visual hallucination. So thank you. That's all about neurotransmitter and neuromodulators. Thank you very much.